Really into that. So
Okay.
welcome to the Open Nesters podcast. I feel like I laugh every time am with Shane anyway, and now we're with Steve Bodansky and Shane Coleman and Francis Shane, who was on our season 1, and now we are in season 5, and we are so excited to have you two together here with us.
Welcome to the Open Nester podcast.
So I talked to Shane, and she told me this very sweet story about her new guy that she's has and her new love and lover. And you'll tell us more about that. But she said, I went to this class on extended massive orgasm, and I didn't want to be with the guys that were in the class. I had no interest in them, but I was like, hey, that teacher. And now years later, it's Steve, if that's kind of the right story. So give us a little bio on each of you. I think Steve, you actually are an open nester as far as your adult kids. If you could give us a bio on on where you are in your lives, because we haven't been introduced to you.
Oh, I'm in love again. I was never out of love. I was married for 41 years. My wife just passed away about a year ago. And we had a wonderful relationship. And she's the one with the kids, actually. I didn't have any kids of my own. And um, I loved her during her dying was beautiful. I've written her poetry after she's died. She's still with me. I carry her around with me, and I see her in different places spiritually. And then I met Shane, and now I have two muses, two lovers.
You still carry the love, and it's so beautiful because our love does expand. And she's the both of you have these shining eyes. I love this new love. So how new is that, the love, since you guys connected?
Well, sometime last spring we met at a Zoom group, communication group, and I liked her and she liked me. We kind of flirted more and more as the time went by, and Shane said, "Well, I want you to come to New York and see me. Come here." And I wasn't ready to fly, and I don't like flying. I don't like traveling. I'm kind of a Shane calls me a recluse rock star, so I like staying at home. And then I guess after Trump won the election, I had all this energy, and I wanted to put it into something positive because I didn't like the negative when my brain was going. So I went online, I got tickets, and I showed up a few days later in New York. And we spent 8 days
And
together.
where are you from now?
I'm
Where you,
in California, east of San Francisco, in a place called Walnut Creek. It's about 45 minutes from San Francisco, half an hour from Oakland. And I grew up in New York City, actually, in Manhattan. I've been out in California for the past 46 years.
So Shane, go ahead and tell us about give us a little also your bio and connection so that we can then bring you guys together into this discussion and flow.
Sure. Sure. So I'm a celebration expert. I love playing. My background is special education and teaching kids how to play in a way that fits into this world. And what I learned was how they basically taught me everything about play, or they reminded me. And so I help people bring play into their lives in ways that help their business, help their intimacy. I use it in my own life. I am naturally a neurotic warrior. And so I have worked so many years on flipping that and really, learning how to play with that and learning how to be with some whatever situation that comes up in a playful way. And Steve and I met in this Mark group, and he has a 50-year resume focusing on pleasure with his late wife. And so to me, that is a rock star. Like, someone who focuses 50 years on pleasure is, of course, the person that I am attracted to. It wasn't initially that way. He wasn't available, and um but I am attracted to smart people who focus on pleasure. So yeah, so here we are. He
What
came to New York. I've been to California, and now we have plans to go to Miami or Florida this coming month. And we take what we call the love ship back and forth. And and we'll see what happens next. But for now, it's working, and both of our work really excites each other. So we feel excited to be here with you guys.
This is so beautiful. I get to feel like you're coming out together with us. And Steve,
Yeah.
I didn't actually say anything about the grief that I think you hold, and yet you hold it in such a beautiful way. So
Yeah, I don't even
you,
call it grief. I think grief is too negative a concept.
okay.
But I guess you could call it grief. But
What
pleasurable,
would you call it?
pleasurable grief? I don't know.
So because you're able to maintain a certain connection, how do you think you got to that point that you're well, and if you want to tell us a little bit about your journey with which we'd like to hear your
Uh,
wife in another few minutes, or and with this
Good
pleasure.
question. I think a lot to do with her. She's very present and loving and caring and generous. So I'm a little more selfish, probably. But I think being with her, I became more generous and very generous to her. And then when she became dependent on me, I was like totally gave myself to her. And it felt like the best time of my life, even though like she wasn't relating strongly with me, I was relating to her. And she was appreciating, and it was really beautiful. So
So you found those moments of pleasure in your generosity to each other, it sounds like. And how about with her kids and adult? What are the kids doing now as adults?
well, they're not. Yeah, they're pretty old now. I mean, they're like around six. There's two sets of twins actually, a year apart. So she had four kids in a row, and I only met them when they were 14 and 15. So they're already pretty much grown up. And we're living in a commune, so we didn't even live together. So we had pretty much an empty nest as soon as we got together.
I see. So do you have a relationship with them?
But I'm pretty close to them. I speak to one daughter about every day. I call her, she calls me. Another daughter I speak to about twice a week, and the two sons maybe once a week each. So we're we're
You're close.
And the commune that you speak of, where they were also raised, can you just discuss that for a moment?
the commune.
That you said you lived in
Yeah,
a commune.
we lived in a it was it was called Morehouse. They became a university for about 16 years actually while I lived there. And I gave degrees in sensuality and communication and and
Who
they
led
taught
those?
course,
Who
what?
led those? Who led those? Who
Who
led
led
that? The
courses.
degree and courses, yeah.
Well, it was kind of independent study in a lot of ways, but they had different courses too. And one of the courses was called well, I called it extended massive orgasm course because I want to make the acronym demo because it's like a demonstration, a demo. So it's demonstration of an extended massive orgasm. And it was like a man would pleasurably stimulate a woman's genitals. He'd be fully dressed and she'd be naked in front of a room, and she would have to get off to a certain um, extent. Like you couldn't just have be flat. You have to show really well. So it took a lot of training to get to that point and practice. And both my wife and I got certified to do those demonstrations while we lived there. And then we taught them while we were there too. They created like a sensuality department a few years after I was there. And we had students come from all over the country. And we took that information and we created our own business, just the two of us together. Actually, we started with another group of people in San Francisco, but then Vera and I she wanted to be just with me. So we taught classes and private instruction and did demonstrations a number of times in New York. I don't know if you know Mama Gina. Have you heard of her?
Of course.
Yeah, she was our student, and she
You're a
actually
student.
yeah, and she was a good student too. Because one time Vera was supposed to do a demonstration, and our first book just came out, and we took a train. Vera didn't want to fly, so we took the train across the country, and she wasn't able to go to the bathroom. So when we got to New York, we had her checked out, and she had colon cancer, so she couldn't do the demonstration. She needed emergency surgery. And so Regina who we were training at the time, stepped in and did a great job. I got her and her husband at the time, Bruce. We got them both certified in front of like close to 100 people. All came from England and Spain, all over the world. The book was like translated into a whole bunch of different languages.
What's the name of that book?
That's the extended massive orgasm. Now I didn't create that title.
Okay.
I just want to call it the art of sensuality, or how to do, which is doing is like how to pleasure somebody with your hands. And our publisher saw the part where I talked about doing a demonstration of extended massive orgasm. They read that part because that was included in the book, and they said, "Why don't we call the book Extended Massive Orgasm?" So I said, "Well, that's probably going to blow some people out. It's probably going to attract some other people. So why not?" So that's how the name of the book was received or determined.
I have a question for Shane. Shane, you said that your relationship converged where you start appreciating each other talent and each other businesses. Can you tell me about that and where do you see the play converge with the massive orgasms?
Because I think like anything, especially sexuality, is so vulnerable. And there's so much programming on what it's supposed to look like, feel like, be like. And if you're in a playful state, and Steve and I have come up with an acronym that we love called PARN. And that's the way we relate. And play is the first piece of it. Because guess what? There's noises and smells and sounds, and it's going to be awkward and it's going to be weird. And so if you're in a playful state, your orgasm can be many things. Like it might include farting, it might include all kinds of things that are not cool or beautiful or attractive. And so where we meet is how we can make it more playful so that it doesn't have to be a performance or it doesn't have to be a certain way. And there's so many moments that can just sort of be brushed away because they're uncomfortable. But I think it's really human to meet in the awkward. Um, and that's where sexuality between us has been so fun and easy because it's so easy to hide in the show of it all. And that ruins things. It takes away the vulnerability and the connection.
I see. And what's the other acronym stand for? Porn? P for play, O for?
Wait, I actually want to stay on play for one more second because I do think that this idea that playfulness as we age and as open nesters, which is what our main topic is around this stage of life as we get older. So I think as we get older, if we're really growing into ourselves, we become more awkward. We become so much more abandoned around play. So we can explore those edges in so much more of a vibrant way. And I know you've worked with people, especially our age, to try to help women play more in that area. I just want to make sure that that's a focus too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and P also stands for pleasure. When you're pleasuring somebody, it's really helpful to be playful and curious and to find out about them because everybody orgasms differently. Everybody receives pleasure differently. And Shane is as you can see, is a very playful and fun person to relate to. And like the extended massive orgasm, it has kind of a specific kind of a German kind of, you do it this way and that way. And I had to adjust according to make it more fun for her. And that makes me more creative and more curious. And that's where, the relationship, that's where the parning comes in. And it's not O, it's A, parn. And the A stands for attention or attentiveness.
I thought you said porn.
But it says
Parn.
PAR to take off on that, right? Attentiveness, PAR. Then what's the next one? Attentiveness is the intention that we give to each other. Is not just the male to the female. I mean, both of these things are reciprocal, is what I can.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then what's the next one?
But you can get pleasure by being playful and giving your attention. That's a way to receive attention, by giving. The better you can give attention, the better you can receive it, and vice versa.
I happen to agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's also a practice. Like I would love to hear when we get to the end. I'd like to have some of those maybe things that you would tell people to start with, both of you. But the practice of how we give more attention to our giving and receiving So I love that. And if it can be playful and noticing our pleasure, it's a more integrated way to be alive. And so I love what you're doing. And tell us about the rest of them while we're on this PARN.
Yeah.
PAR.
Well, I love that you said it because we have PARN practice nights that are coming up, and they'll be on Zoom. But R is so A is attention, so putting attention on each other.
Mhm.
R is something I love all of them, but I love it. It's revealing, um, and N is noticing, and it's the container where everything is allowed. So it doesn't always have to be pleasure. And if you, my belief and experience is if you can reveal the darkest and the most uncomfortable, then you can reveal and receive more pleasure and more beauty and more connection. And this is a relational tool that can be used in parenting. Like we're working on it with two friends of ours. Steve mentioned Bruce and my friend Lisa, and we're working on this together. And we all bring a lot of genius to the table and have different expertise. And the idea of PARN over porn is where this was birthed from, because without even realizing it, we have so much porn indoctrinated in who we are, how we should shave our bodies, what we should look like, should we shower before every date and scrub, like so many women get so over prepared for first dates, you can't help but have unfulfilled expectations. I think you should show up dirty, show up who you are, and see what happens. And then from there, you can do all the extra stuff. But playful is different for everybody. And so these four letters, we've been really playing with them, and we think of each other as partners instead of partners. I on this in so many without even realizing it. Because when things get serious and heavy, there's never a good outcome. And even if it feels fake, it's like bringing in the playfulness of it becomes real, because the mind and the body aren't always on the same page, and our minds can make things really hard.
I love the messiness of what you're talking about because I'm not a perfectionist and I've had to help my sister and other people kind of just shake it up and let loose and all the practices I use for shaking and Sufi circles and screaming and vocalizing keep me saying I don't mind, especially with my sacred lover. I mean, Amir's also heard me my explosive vocalization of everything. But I also can feel like when I get to a high level of arousal, I can look the messiest I've ever looked just because I let it out. And that's a reveal of my vulnerability. So I love the fact that the more attentiveness we're pouring into something, the more we can reveal. It's probably so in the DNS dynamic too. I mean, if you want to say something about
Yeah.
that.
Yes, I rather ask more question than talk
Okay.
about the DS dynamic. I think that uh, being a pawn rather than porn is a beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
And what I was looking for to see how a new love affair actually become part of your it's not only the love, but it's also the way you play, and now you converted it together and you put it so beautifully that the play comes in. And I never thought about extensive massive orgasm as a play, but you know I'm thinking about it and I said, well, you know what, that could be a play. But I love the fact that you were able to combine both of your talents and skills into an acronym like that. That is, you can start teaching together. But I want to go back to the moment that you felt that, oh my God, this is a partner that I like to be with. This is a person that I want to be with. When was that you discovered that this is a new love for both of you?
Good question.
A year ago, or
I don't
was
think
it?
there's a specific moment.
It was a gradual.
I think, well, when I arrived in New York, Shane kind of accepted me because I knew some of her history that she really hadn't lived with anybody for any long periods of time, and I wasn't sure, how she'd relate to someone, and she kind of just accepted me I was like part of part of her environment. I became I totally accepted
Instantly.
instantly. Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't shower before you arrived.
He didn't. Oh no, he did. But like,
Just joking.
Shower.
I'm just joking.
I don't smell it at all. No.
No, I'm just joking.
you're joking.
Yeah.
craziest thing is the next day he arrived, I had like a really bad stomach. It came and I had diarrhea all the like he arrived Thursday night, Friday or whatever. The next day I was sick all day and I couldn't hide it. And like, okay. So I had to really be taken care of. I'm pretty self-sustainable. Dating is not important to me. I'm not like always, I don't date. I find it annoying. Um, but and I also have had long distance relationships that didn't work. And I was like, ugh, but it
Another
just,
one.
yeah, I was just so present and I was just taking all the energy that I was receiving and living my life and it was feeling great. And I went through, some moments of like this, whatever. He doesn't like to fly. I don't care. I'm not, all this stuff. And then he said he was coming, and
You
I was
you
like,
were invested. Yeah.
I was vested in my own energy
Yes.
and not like attached in an unhealthy way, which I had
Right.
done many in the past. Well, not many, but several ones that really fucked me up. So but then when he said he bought a ticket, I was like, oh, cool. But I was still protecting myself. I'm like, good, you'll stay next door. Da 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 da. Like, we'll arrange it in a way where I don't feel intruded upon. And
Right.
then because we have these two friends, like one of my best friends and Steve's one of his best friends, I was able to work it out with Lisa in a way that it was like, oh, I'm still protecting my heart. I'm still like not being all in a certain way. And so having us as a foursome is pretty dynamic because we know each other, we love each other, we care about each other. And if I'm stuck with some mishigas or some stuff that's like not letting me be my best, who knows, Steve? I can really work that out. And then I don't have to work it out with him. Like he's not my girlfriend. And I think that's really important when it comes to relating in a sexual relationship is that you are allowed to have other people having input if they have the both people's
Interest.
interests. Um, and then I was like, all right, Shane, let's see what's here, and
Right.
it was really easy. And we both have similar values when it comes to taking care of ourselves and showering or not showering. It became like fun where if I don't wash my hair for 2 weeks, like if there's a new guy in my life, I'm of that lifestyle where it's like, get your hair done, get your toes done. And I'm like, well, this is how it shows up. And so we got to really relate in a way with me being sick all day in a way that felt like not a cold, but like poop
And
that felt,
it wasn't nerves of a neurotic warrior, right?
yes.
I actually just flashed back to Shane's first episode, which I actually listened to again recently, and she talks about loosening your asshole. So good because that's exactly where like everything is so uptight sometimes. Sometimes you have to loosen your asshole, and that just kind of happened naturally.
It's your
No,
favorite topic. Yeah.
I love the fact that, somebody like Steve can, in his act three, can find new love that is so authentic to him and feels like natural because it sounds like, you skipped 25 years of being together and now you're comfortable with each other like you've been together for 25 years or so. And that is the shortcut that you took with a different attitude that you brought both to the table with the PARN. And I'm impressed with that, and I salute you for it. And it's impressive that it can happen. So the people that listening to us out there that in Act Three and they're single, whether male or female, there is hope. You can discover it, and perhaps play is the format and the platform to do so.
And knowing Shane knowing herself, and I guess Steve kind of being, I don't know if you're really committed to California. You're also creating your own new language of where you'll see each other. And let's talk about that for a minute because people don't know they have choices. So I'd love you to talk about that, how that's working out so far.
Well, so far so good. We don't make long time plans. I don't know what's going to happen, but when Shane was here, we were talking about maybe going to Hawaii, and then we were another group, and somebody asked me, so when are you going to Hawaii? And I kind of hedged my answer. I'm not sure, because before that, we were going to meet there, and she wasn't going to come here, but then she was in California, and I wasn't sure like if she wanted to come back here again and then go to Hawaii. So she didn't like my answer. But she told me so right away. I could see it in her face. And she said, like, just say wherever Shane wants to go, that's where I'll go. Yeah, that would be the good answer. But so then we just decided, well, she had some kind of gig in Florida. Why don't we just meet in Florida? I have like my parents lived there, and I had a whole. Actually, we own a condo, but the lady who took care of my mother is living there now. So I thought, well, we could stay there. But then a couple of people told me that wasn't a good idea. But then Shane's friend Lisa was going down there too, and they was renting out a place. So we decided, well, we'll stay together down in Delray Beach together near the beach. So it sounds like it's all working out. And Shane's kind of like a good witch. She can create like um, stop make traffic disappear. And she can do all kinds of things. But she's not good with the weather. She can't like control the weather. So we're working out.
How does she make traffic disappear?
I don't know. Witchcraft.
Witchcraft. Okay, no, it's an attitudinal thing, and so when you with somebody that you just fall in love with, all of a sudden the worries kind of become very small and minute. It feels like you feel so strong, and you feel like you're a Superman or Superwoman,
Yeah.
and you can handle anything that comes your way, and that's why she can make traffic goes away because it become insignificant. Am I correct, Shane?
Yeah. Yeah, what PARN creates, what is created is alignment. And so if I were my 20-year-old version of myself, I would be talking to everybody. How am I going to get Steve to move to New York? What am I going to do? Should I move? Like all this extra energy. And now I just have to sit and trust. And that's really a muscle that I constantly work with, is how to trust myself and how to trust that everything's working out for the best. I like my freedom. I don't know, actually. I'll say that now, if I necessarily need to be together 24/7. I like this in between stuff. At the end of the California trip, I did want to have something on the calendar, and so there's moments where I can get into my neurotic self, but I really trust that Steve's not trying to get away from me. And I had this weird belief that started as a teenager, that people don't want to give me what I want, and that I'm going to have to like manipulate or say it in a certain way or pick the perfect moment. And that doesn't exist anymore. And also the feeling of being rejected. Like we're present the whole way. So it's not like I have this one moment to ask for what I want. The other piece I want to bring back for a moment, Amir, is, giving people hope. Steve trains men on how to help women reach orgasm and how to have pleasure. And he works with women hands on. And so I've worked with a lot of nice guys in my
And
career,
couples.
and couples, right? So, like, what my advice piece to add to it is, get heavily trained in how to give pleasure. Just go get trained. You can be the biggest loser, weirdo, short, fat, broke, blind. It doesn't matter. If you know how to give pleasure to a woman, women will feel that from you. So I don't want, because I hear people at home listening being like, well, he's trained. Of course that's why he gets the young broad. But everybody can get trained. There's an actual practice. You can invest your time, your money, your energy. Instead of looking to fix yourself, go get more trained, and you too can have a really amazing life well into your 70s. There's people in that Mark group that are in their 90s that are talking about the
Really?
dates they went on, the pleasure they received. They look fabulous. I mean, it's so healthy, right? So many people in their 60s start talking about their health, even in their 50s, and they get diagnosis and they're running around. And there's a way to think about yourself in a sick way. But if you're going and you're spending an hour a week, or you're getting 3 sessions in a row, you have to see yourself differently. And I feel really strongly about this because too many people are alone and don't have to be if it's not a choice.
Well, that is a great advice to
Absolutely.
all of our listeners, that's in Acts 3 or any act, of Act 2 for that matter, just to go find out how to please each other through whatever it is, through giving orgasm or through play, through you, Shane, or through the orgasm with Steve. So either way,
Yeah,
that's a great. Yeah, go ahead.
I've written 16 books about pleasure, some hands-on kind of nonfiction
Guides.
how-to books, some in the novel form, but they're all about pleasure and how to pleasure somebody.
And where we can find those books? Is it
On Amazon,
do it yourself at Home Depot type of a deal?
Amazon.com.
Amazon.
Just look up my name, you'll see tons of books.
Bodansky. Steve Bodansky, or I mean, you're the author of Steve Bodansky on pleasure. I'm sure.
Yeah, there's no other Steve Bodanskys that I know of.
Oh, good.
Not that there aren't any, but I don't know of any.
So I wanted to ask you about anything practical that you can leave people with today. Like so aside from the acronyms, are there anything that you get people to the first step? Like, I think you guys are even writing a book together. So what's that intro looking like? What is it like? What are some of the things that you want to bring to that people can start stepping into it? Besides technically getting training, going to get training, what are some of the mental perspectives you'd like to give them?
Well, for one thing, it's good to know that most women are angry and most men are dumb, socially speaking. And if you know that about the other gender, it can lighten the load.
It's not taking themselves so seriously, first of all, right?
Yeah. And reveal yourself, and like that R part is important. Like, if you don't tell your partner what you like because you're ashamed, maybe, like some guys like to wear women's clothes or whatever they like to do. If they're not going to admit it, and they're going to hide those kind of things, it's going to prevent them from having the full life that they could have.
That's a form of play, sure. But why do you say that women are angry?
Well, just look around.
Let's look around. Okay.
Women are angry and men are dumb. I don't know that I can completely buy it. I see it as, yeah.
Well, there's a reason for it. I mean, women have been second-class citizens since forever, and it's finally getting better than it was, but this still pretty much is that way. Look at all these Arabian countries where they can't even, they can just get start to drive. They have to wear burqas around, and women also have multi-functions that men don't have. Women are the ones that go into labor, go have babies. Men don't have that. Men just men aren't invested as much as women are, but men think they're like because men would when you're first born, it's a boy, yay, blue, you're a boy, and then it's a girl, maybe we'll get a cigar, maybe not,
I see. And Shane,
so women kind of question why is my brother getting all this attention? Why is he going to medical school? Why is he getting, all this?
Women are in school.
And guys kind of accept it. Yeah, I guess I'm the best, because that's why they're dumb.
Oh, because I think that
women question it, but they're also pissed off because they know they're at least as good, if not better, than men.
And Shane, what advice you can give to the people that are listening to us?
It's along the same lines, but it's really a practical thing. Like, start to sing whatever's going on, like get into the practice of singing a little tune. And there's so much, it sounds really simple, but it's like, we're on a podcast right now, Tessa and Amir. Sing what's happening. And look, automatically you just start to
all the time.
Actually.
Just makes things ridiculous. If you lock your keys, if you forget to pay your taxes, because what else is going on in our heads is like, I'm such a fucking idiot. I'm so, there's all this anger.
Don't forget to relax your anus.
Don't forget to relax your anus.
Okay to fart. And
just made a fart.
So just to keep, even if it's to yourself, this isn't like broadcast, but just to yourself, it just like gives something to your nervous system. Like, I've done a lot of this, and just gives your nervous system a break, because we're so hard on ourselves. And, women are really angry, but they put on a smile and they pretend everything's okay. But they're going on dates and they're like, are you going to give me what I want? But they try to hide it and they try to, everything's okay.
I
Like
didn't know that
there's,
that's what's going on with women. I mean, I guess I'm out of it because I'm a happy woman.
women are feeling left out. They've given up. They're pissed off. There's so much to be angry about. And I think it's a comfortable position for women to be in. Um, I live in a goddess world. There are people who are working on it. And, men being dumb, it's not an IQ thing. It's just a very simple thing. Like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And women are not telling them. And then they're angry at themselves, but it leaks out onto men and it becomes this really yucky way of relating. And the idea of just being like, I don't know what to do. I feel awkward and I'm holding in a fart, like, is just so normal. And we've been trained to just be something else. And the way it comes out is that there's like a disconnect. And so singing along and just singing your life away, little hums, little kid songs, it's how we learn. And you maybe won't forget your keys again, or you'll have a better date, stuff like that.
We've talked about women and men, but I do think that it's also the female and the male in us all. So I do like to acknowledge that it's also like I actually am pretty involved in the tantra world, and I do understand the feminine, masculine, and then the idea that we have I have to releasing all this is so important, and that's what you're talking about. Is like just the revealing who we are is not always binary either.
Yeah.
So
And Shane isn't just getting Steve, she's getting Vera and Steve. She's getting both of us.
Yeah. I've
oh,
a
We're in a
relationship.
threesome. We're in a threesome.
Yeah, I have a relationship with Vera and it's really interesting, and what Steve shows the world is like, guess what? You can keep on living and there's no amount of time that is right or wrong to have love again. I mean, they obviously had a lot of communication about that, but it's not yeah, it's just lovely. It's actually everything's available and these rules that have been set by I don't know who are actually bullshit. And you get to decide and you get to be playful about them.
You're in
And
control.
anyway, right.
Yeah.
So I feel
well,
in
no
this
one's in full control, but
Yeah. What I'm saying is you get to
we get to
decide.
choose,
You
right?
get
We
to
get to
choose.
choose and how we respond to it. Yeah. So
absolutely.
so tell us how we can reach you. I mean, I'm Steve Bodansky, and we got the extended orgasm
Extendedorgasm.com or
.com and
Facebook.
okay.
Uh,
And then we have a PARN time practice meetup that's coming up soon. And so if you go to extendedmassiveorgasm.com, there's a place that says contact us and you can put your info and we'll let you know when that's happening. And that's in on Zoom and eventually will be in person.
Mm.
And for people who want some fun, playful training with Shane, that she does that full time too in couples. So you want to give them your website here?
Yes, you can go to shanebcoleman.com or you can just go to Google and type in Enchantress Shane and pick your pleasure. You can watch a bunch of stuff. You can write to me. You can enjoy. Um, yeah, we're all over the place, separately and together.
Well, it's
Fantastic.
such a pleasure to visit with you again, Shane, and Steve, to meet you and see you guys come
Steve,
together.
it's been an inspiration to hear you talk and to see that there's hope for men and couples and individuals in Act Three, knowing that they can still find love and beauty in their relationship. And I just enjoyed just listening to you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Enjoyed
you.
being here and talking and listening.
Bye now.
Bye.
Okay, wait, I'm saying goodbye. We're just gonna